a lot of women who have been in sort of this yo-yo cycle over the years, it doesn't help that food is labelled good and bad. If food is food and some foods are more nutritious, it takes away that, oh, I'd love to have that chocolate, but I can't have it. It's like the world doesn't end because you've had a packet of crisps or a bit of chocolate. I have both of those things and I'm a healthy person.
On today's episode of Spill the Tea with LLIB, we have the incredible Sarah Nolan.
So Sarah, can you share with our listeners more about your business and that unique aspect that sets it apart?
So yeah, my business wasn't ever meant to be a business. I am a women's personal trainer. I do some online coaching as well. But my background is a corporate career. So I have been a commercial litigation lawyer. I'm 16 years qualified.
Wow.
Hit 40 and had a good look around and thought, you know, I'm happy with where I am right now. I'd just come off the back of a particularly long and stressful case. And I thought, oh, there's something missing. But I didn't think that there was room in the market for someone, you know, to be 40, entering the fitness industry. It's just, Instagram is full of all these young girls, isn't it? And I thought, no, well, do you know, all of the reading I did at that point was around health and fitness. I've always had a real passion. So I thought I'll get the qualification. And if nothing comes of it, I've got a qualification. And before I knew it, I was setting up a company, getting business insurance and accountant, and I've had all these clients starting with me. So it's been the best thing I've done, like the best thing, I think, helping mainly women with demanding careers. So a lot are from corporate backgrounds, business owners who are basically struggling with the things I struggled with for all those years. And just being able to sort of help them find a way through that and make themselves a priority, get them feeling good in themselves. It's so rewarding. So yeah, it's the best thing I could have done.
Wow.
I love that.
So what inspired you then to venture into that particular industry?
I'd say I've always had such an interest. I've always sort of tried to take care of myself. When I say always, sort of in the last decade or so, but previous to that, I knew I know the difference between taking care of yourself and how you feel in your day-to-day life, in your work, how productive you are, how much you can show up for your kids and your families, and the difference between not. And it's massive. And there's so many women who have spent their entire lives on a diet, you know, just lose a stone, put it back on, lose a stone again, put the same stone back on. And it's just a vicious circle. And through working with coaches previously, lots and lots of research and just general life experience, to be honest, I've worked out how to get someone to where they need to be and then maintain it, because you want to enjoy your life, don't you? You don't want to be every year panicking before you're going on a holiday or you've got an event coming up. You just want to feel good all year round.
Yeah, you really do. And everyone deserves that, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do. And women in particular beat themselves up as well over, it's such a focus for a lot of women, and it really is central to a lot of women's happiness, sort of how they feel, like if they're gaining weight, if they're tired and stressed, it's massive. It seeps into all areas of your life. And I think what I definitely saw in the corporate world was that people don't, it's widespread that, you know, people don't generally take care of themselves very well because the pressures of the job, the long hours, the deadlines, it's like working in a pressure cooker sometimes. So the thought of eating well or going to the gym or even getting a good night's sleep is an impossibility for a lot of people, or it seems like an impossibility. So it's for me, often the start is just mapping out what their week looks like, what their average day looks like, and making small changes that are going to benefit them. And once they start to feel better, it starts to snowball then. And it's more looking at lifestyle change than, a 6-week diet. And then you go back to what you were doing before.
Okay, so what do you find most fulfilling about the work that you do?
Oh, seeing women grow in confidence and as I say, breaking that cycle that doesn't serve them. And also just enjoying a relationship with exercise and food and not, seeing it as, you have to absolutely batter yourself to be healthy, or that you have to be, restricting yourself to eating a stupid number of calories to maintain, a level of, happiness with your body. It's just all about, just getting people feeling good. It's the most fulfilling thing. And I think for me, in a corporate world, especially as a lawyer, you're taught to remove all emotion. So that was the one thing I struggled with massively over the years, because I am someone who I do like to care. Like I'm caring by nature. I like to help people, but not just, that was taken away from you've got the legs taken away from you with that. And I don't know whether that was something that I thought was missing. Was that ability to sort of connect with people when you're told, you're trained from day one, you stay, you've got to stay objective. All the emotion comes out of it. And that for me was very, very difficult. And I failed miserably quite a few times.
Do you find women, because you work with a lot of women now, including ourselves, which we're truly grateful for, do you find it really hard for women to put themselves first and go, I need this? Like, do you find, like, what are women struggling with at the minute around that?
Mainly time. Or the perception of time, I say as well. It's for some women, it genuinely is time. For some people, they feel so overwhelmed with the work, the kids, they're being everything to everyone. They might be caring for a relative. They've got all this going on. And the thought of, they just don't feature in the list of priorities. They're nowhere to be seen. So if you say to someone, you're going to start making your health a priority, it's not that easy for people unless they've got someone who can say, right, what can we do here that's not going to overwhelm you further? It's not going to stress you out or make you feel like you've got a million more things on your to-do list, but the small things that are just going to make you feel a little bit better in yourself. That can be done quite quickly, or relatively easily. Like, none of my clients are in the gym for 2 hours a day, or they're not on super low calories, so they're nourishing their bodies. Where it's all about adding. The first thing I generally say is, let's look at what you're going to add into your diet that's missing now. If you start adding like lots of whole foods and fruit and vegetables and getting additional protein into your diet, all of the other stuff that people have labelled as bad for years naturally starts to decrease a little bit anyway, and you find you're more satisfied, you're more productive, you exercise and your energy levels are better, you're sleeping better. It's just, but it's getting the person's got to be ready to sort of make a change. And often they can be in such an overwhelmed state that it normally takes, there's got to be something that clicks for someone to go, right, that's me. I've got to do something about this now.
Yeah. I think working with yourself as well, there's no judgment as well.
Not at all.
I think your kindness comes across, and I think you're very gentle. So you've got a gentle approach to health and fitness. And I think you are an educator. Like you've educated me so much. And I've never felt like I couldn't be honest with you, where people in the past who have thought, I might do that, or I might, you feel like you've got to get to their standards and not your own, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think working with you, it's very easy to be honest about what we're doing on the other side, definitely.
The main thing for me is that I want to create like openness with clients, because I can't help if I don't know what's going on anyway. But also, it's not about me sort of going, why haven't you done this? Or why haven't you been for a walk? Or why haven't you done that workout? There's always it's more about, well, this week was challenging and you didn't manage to do everything you planned to do. So let's look at going forwards. What can we do next week that's going to make that more manageable for you? And also, I always say there's no expiry date on this. So it's not like, you've got to do this by a set date, and often people will have something in mind that is their sort of motivation to start, usually like a holiday or an event, or they're going to a wedding. And what keeps them going is the difference in how they feel. So usually there is something that makes someone start. But for me, there's no expiry date. So if you have a week that's less than perfect, because you don't have to have perfection isn't what you're aiming for anyway. You want to be consistently good, not have occasional perfection, because it doesn't get you anywhere. And just chipping away. It's a phrase I use a lot, but you're just chipping away. It's a lifelong what I'm trying to do with people is make lifelong changes that are sustainable and that also don't deplete from your enjoyment of life. So what's the point in you'll see a lot of fitness influencers who are shredded. They've got shredded abs. They've probably not been out for a meal in years. You know, they probably don't enjoy any sort of social life. Like there's a balance to be struck. Like I always say to people, there's no point in being sat there shredded with a six pack in your living room, like miserable. What's the point? Like,
come and look at me, for goodness sakes.
And it's not the standard that most people want to get to. People just want to be happy and be able to enjoy social occasions without panicking that they've ruined it all, or because you can eat out and you can lose fat, you can maintain your weight, you don't gain weight just because you have a meal out.
And you can order a decent shop, like your shops. You share your shops on your Instagram. You are getting famous for your weekly shops, and they are just so normal, except the one that you forgot to update your cart, and you got loads of ice cream and pizza. Didn't you?
I forgot. I just put all this rubbish in the basket all week because I get my shop done online, and then I have to remember it's like 5 o'clock the day before to go in and make sure I take out all the rubbish I've been throwing in all week.
But you didn't,
and I failed miserably a couple of times.
And you share it. And that's so good. And it was nice to see that Sarah eats ice cream sometimes.
I love ice cream.
She likes a slice of pizza.
It's not the devil. I think that's as well what's a lot of women who have been in sort of this yo-yo cycle over the years. It doesn't help that food is labelled good and bad. So it's like if you say to someone, oh, you can't eat that, that's naughty, you want it, don't you? Like if food is food, and some foods are more nutritious, nutrient dense than others. Food is food. It takes away that, oh, I'd love to have that chocolate, but I can't have it. It's like, have a bit of chocolate if that's what you're craving. You can have chocolate. It's not the, you know, the world doesn't end because you've had a packet of crisps or a bit of chocolate. I have both of those things and I'm a healthy person. It's all about balance. So I go with the 80-20 rule. 80% of my diet is nutrient dense, whole foods, loads of fruit and veg. And that's non-negotiable for me. I always get those things in. I always get a decent amount of protein. And the rest of it, I like a little snack. It's enjoying. I enjoy it. So
you're living life.
Yeah, pressure off. I think there's so much pressure on women, isn't there? We put so much pressure on ourselves because of that constant narrative out there of having to look a certain way, dress a certain way, be a certain way, not age, you know, and if you're going to age, age well and, you know, in a certain way. And it's all this fight against what society would have us believe. And we look at these pictures of perfection, which we all know have been airbrushed and filtered and all of that sort of thing, but you still pick away at yourself because of what you see and that narrative that you fed all of the time. And it's so damaging.
It is. It's so damaging. And Instagram, it's not, there's elements of it that are real, but there's so many people editing photos and, you know, all of that stuff, and people are I always think about teenage girls and that as well. That's what gets me, I think.
How hard must it be
I didn't
now?
have that. So when I was a teenager, we didn't have Instagram people to compare. It was like pop stars and stuff like that. But but they were real people at least. Like whereas now young girls are comparing themselves to an impossible standard because it's not real. And it's just I've got a number of clients who were sort of in their very early 20s. Like my clients range from early 20s through to 60. And it's lovely seeing the younger girls, like, and I'm thinking, God, they're not starting their life in that cycle. And it's lovely because I just think if I had have known what I know now, sort of 20 years ago, would have saved myself a lot of misery. You know, it was always like you wanted to be as skinny as Kate Moss. It was like, that was the look, wasn't it? You wanted to just be as skinny as possible. And
I think women now want to be strong, don't they?
Yeah, people want to be strong and just healthy. And it's not about extremes. Like for me, it's not about extremes. It's about just being happy in yourself and being healthy as best you can, and just trying to make a bit of time for yourself, for your headspace as well. Especially if you're someone who's got a really demanding job or busy family, you need time for yourself. Like as much as you might think you don't have that time, you can find 5 minutes to just go and sit in a dark room if you need to, but ask someone to find, half an hour to do a workout and it's an impossibility until you sit with someone and say, like, let's look at your day. Could we do it there? Or could we do it there? Let's be realistic about when you can fit that into your life. You're going to feel better for it.
Yeah. And making that a daily non-negotiable, isn't it? That's your time.
Yeah. You're entitled to your time just because you're a mum or a business owner or you've got a super demanding career. Your employer doesn't own you.
No.
Like, they don't own you every waking hour. And a lot of people, I think, especially with people with stressful jobs, it creeps into every aspect of their life. So it feels like you're giving up 24 hours a day to your employer, and it's really not necessary.
Yeah. Do you know what I find the hardest thing about exercise is that I have to wash my hair daily. If I do a workout, I'm like, oh God, no,
dry shampoo.
Wash my hair. But does it smell though? I always think, I am a super sweaty person. Like if I exercise, I am really sweaty. And so, I'm like, oh, now I've got to wash my hair and I've got to try and like dry it or do something with it. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing for me.
My hair is, we've got a rare occasion, my hair's down. My hair is back in a ponytail all the time. Someone actually said to me, I saw someone the other day who's a client of mine, but I saw her at an event. She was like, oh, you've got your hair down. And I was like, I've given it a wash as well.
Just for you. Yeah, we need like a super hair dryery type thing where, once you've exercised, you just have a salon as well.
Yeah.
A little home salon. Yeah. That'd be good. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be? Not the creation of the home salon like thingy, because that's how I'm
crap at hair anyway.
Me too.
What would it be remembered for? Do you know what? I would like to say sort of the cliche of helping people and stuff, but I would also like to say like leading by example. So there's nothing that I suggest to clients, and I was going to say then tell clients. I don't tell clients to do anything. I will help and guide, but there's nothing that I am saying to any of my clients or that I would put out even on social media, because I'm very conscious of that I don't believe in or that I wouldn't do myself. And that's not to say I don't or I'm 100% right all of the time, because we all get things wrong and we're all learning all of the time. But someone who led by example, like I think a client is more likely to listen if they're like, well, will you do that too? You're not just sitting on your throne sort of saying, stop eating that or go get yourself to the gym or get out for a walk. It's things that I've been there and I've managed the busy life and I know how it feels. So I'd like to think I've got a level of understanding.
So what would be the dream for Sarah Nolan Fitness in the future?
It's grown like so much quicker than I thought. So 2 weeks time, I started with my first client a year ago. So it's a year old for something that really was, I'd literally had like a couple of strawberry daiquiris, was on a sunbed on holiday
all the
with
best
Jed.
Ideas come from a strawberry
and
daiquiri.
I've been listening to all these like podcasts, like inspirational podcasts. And I just took my earphones out and tapped Jed and I said, Jed, I think I'm going to do a PT course. And he went, yeah. Just and I was like, and then later on, I was like, I was being serious, and he was like, yeah, just go for it. He's my biggest cheerleader, so he's always supported me. But he was just like, look, you're going to take a drop in money. It's fine. Are you going to be happy? Yeah. So I want it to just. I'm hoping that it continues to grow and blossom, and I get to work with as many women as I can. I feel like I'm making a difference now. And that was something that I never had previously. I didn't feel like I could make a direct difference because decisions were out of my hands. It was always a court deciding or, it wasn't something I could directly sort of really get into knowing the person as well and the individual. And I just want to, help as many women as I can. Continue to grow.
Oh, I love that.
You will.
So if you could spill the tea with anyone, who would you choose and why?
It would be my dad, but I won't talk more about that because I'll end up getting there because I just can't do it. Yeah, it would definitely be my dad because he passed away when I was young. But secondary to that, because this won't make me cry, I would love Joanna Lumley because I think she'd have brilliant stories of all of her travels, or David Attenborough. Like people with like real life experience and stories that you could just listen to.
I think that you could have both.
You could have both. Imagine that. Yeah, that would be amazing.
That'd be a good tea
it's a
party.
few people that have had a party rather than just one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
the
the
more the merrier.
stories would be great, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And David Attenborough, like you could say, oh, just speak to me a little bit more before I go to bed, and then you'd be asleep, wouldn't you? Because he's got such a calming voice.
Sits in there on a stool.
Lots of cake and then fall asleep. Cake coma.
Well, what way do you think David Attenborough makes his tea, though? Because that is our closing
the correct
tradition.
way, because I have to say this is something that I feel very strongly
Oh,
about.
good. I'm really hopeful then now that there's a good outcome.
There's nothing worse than a poor cup of tea.
Nothing.
There's nothing worse than a milky cup of tea.
No.
So
no.
it's tea bag in, water, let it sit for a minute. Then I'll drain the tea bag, take it out, and then I'll put a splash of milk in, like builder's tea. No, not too much milk, but yeah, that way. Instead of just swishing it round in a bit of cold milk.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, when you get it and it's like beige.
Yeah.
You can't tell the difference between my tea and coffee to that brown.
Yeah. I'm a bit more milky than that, but I do totally agree on the right way to making that cup of tea and not just sloshing it about in a bit of milk
made up on.
I do. I love seeing her so happy. Yeah.
Liar.
Are you winning today?
I am.
That doesn't happen often.
I am winning overall. There's so many more sensible people out there. I keep a private tally. Claire likes to keep her own tally and think
Cal
that she's
keeps
winning.
a private tally. I actually keep the real tally.
Do you?
Yeah.
And I'll let her think she's winning.
Liar. I'm totally winning.
But Sarah, other than the last question, you've been an amazing guest.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
What an amazing guest.
Yeah, incredible.
And thank you so much for sharing your journey, and thank you for the community that you've built that we are now, a part of.
My legs are thankful most days.
Possibly not today.
No, not today.
I love that. But
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yay.